Let me start with the uncomfortable question. What if your CV is being rejected without a human actually even passing through it? If you've been recently applying for roles, then you may have heard the term Applicant Tracking System. Some may say that it's the reason that you're not getting jobs. Others say it doesn't matter at all. So if you're interested in hearing and unpacking the truth with me, Pira, an ex-recruiter who's now a hiring manager within the consulting world, please stay tuned for more. So in this video, what we'll be doing is understanding what the applicant tracking system does, what are the myths around it, and thirdly, we'll be looking at how to leverage your CV in the best possible way so you can pass through as many ATS systems successfully as possible. Because once you understand the system, the job search becomes less mysterious and your success rate also increases. So first things first, let's start with the applicant tracking system. What does it actually do? It's essentially a piece of software that recruiters use to manage applications. What it isn't is some highly intelligent piece of software that's deciding whether you're worthy or deserving of a job. It's essentially a way for recruiters, a lot like a filing system, to manage applicants, to ensure that they can filter through candidates successfully, to actually find out what stage of the interview process candidates are in. So in theory, it's there to manage the entire end-to-end process of an applicant from the minute that their CV hits the software right through to offer stage. There are a number of companies that are like Workday, PeopleSoft that you may have come across that actually provide this filing system for hiring managers and recruiters alike to pass their candidates through. ATS systems don't automatically reject candidates. Essentially, what it does do is make the life easier for a hiring manager and a recruiter by showing them the most suitable candidates for the role. Essentially, rank candidates that are the most suitable and the most experienced for each role. So rather than wading through thousands and thousands of applications, recruiters can then rank the first 10 or 20 candidates that match the job description the best and start working there through those candidates in a timely fashion. So essentially, it's there for the recruiters and hiring managers to efficiently get through all of the candidates that have applied for a role. One of the biggest myths that I see online is that individuals say that ATS systems are looking for just keywords and then rejecting candidates based on whether they have those words or not. But essentially what the ATS system does is act as a search engine for recruiters. So for example, if the recruiter is looking for a marketing professional with data handling experience within the London region, the recruiter would then go into the ATS system and type in quotation marks, SEO, specialist and data and London, so that they can filter through the candidates who have all of these requirements. And within that Venn diagram, where someone who has got SEO experience, has got data experience, and also lives within London. So it allows them to filter down and trickle down and target the candidates who are most likely to fit the profile that they're looking for. So in summary, what we're saying is the ATS system looks for the strongest signals in each CV and is pulling through the candidates that have all of these signals that they're looking for to the top. So using that logic, we need to find out, does your CV send out the relevant signals required for each role so that recruiters do pick up the phone or send you an email with respect to the position that they're hiring for? In my experience as a recruiter and as a hiring manager, what I've noticed is that most CVs don't actually send out the relevant signals. They're full of information that's really vague and generic, like hardworking or a team player, which is not necessarily the skill sets that I'm specifically looking for. Whilst those aforementioned qualities are things that I value and do eventually look for in a candidate, at the time of hiring, I am looking for specific skill sets that are going to solve specific problems within my business. I hope that the person is hardworking. I hope that they are a team player, and those things will emerge as the person goes through the recruitment process. But what I want to be able to specifically see on their CV is that they are able to, like a jigsaw, fit into my puzzle, and the gaps that I have in terms of skills and experience that their CV is plugging those gaps. One of the common mistakes that I see is a mismatch in experience. I'll be looking for a data analyst and instead I have someone highlighting pieces of coursework that they have done for design, for example. I need to see specifically where you have handled data and what were the repercussions of you handling that data. So that could be the size of the data set that you were using, what are the trends that you discovered in it, and the so what of your experiment that you've run or the data set that you've produced in a Power BI format. I'm looking for the so what of the data manipulation that you have done. Was it that you were able to showcase a thesis that you had which debunks myths that have been going on within a certain industry? These are the key things that essentially we are trying to drive the efficiencies or the value propositions. We clearly need to understand what the impact of your work is, and that is where value is driven, and that is where we are looking for people to come in and implement those learnings into our organizations. Moreover, recruiters are looking through thousands of CVs, so you need your experience to jump out at them. So we need to know what you can do and the impact of what it is that you do. And on that note, you need to really make your skills really apparent, not just saying vague things like worked on a social media campaign. Tell me what those social media campaigns are. Worked on a social media campaign across Instagram and TikTok where the click-through rate increased by 20% and our rate to purchase was 15%. So having key metrics like this show us that your skills are in high demand and that you are able to leverage them to the maximum and that they are delivering values that organizations want. The third mistake that I see is overly complex CVs where there are really rich designs and it's really hard to read the actual content of the CVs. What you want to do is allow applicant tracking systems to see all of the words really clearly and to be able to piece together the full picture of your experience, and also be able to then see the value that you bring from the efficiency changes or increase in productivity or increase in revenue. So these are things that you need to be able to showcase as jumping out of your CV. So the more simple your CV is, the easier it is for an applicant tracking system to put this story together and let it flow. What I have found is that within the creative industries, people are still manually looking through portfolios because they want to see your creativity, they want to see how you thought about a design. So they're really very much interested, rather than passing it through an applicant tracking system, really looking at the skills that you bring. So in those industries, the more colourful your portfolio, the more variety and range that you show and ingenuity you show within designing that, the better. So if I was applying for a role, what I would do on my CV is start with a very clean first line, stating I'm a business economics graduate, interested in becoming a management accountant, having had experience doing annual returns at a local firm. This frames your entire CV for the recruiter. They know what you've studied, what you're looking for, and experience that you've had. The second thing I would do is look at outcomes rather than descriptions. So saying that I've implemented an applicant tracking systems, which then reduced time to hire by 20%. You want to really put in, as I say, the value proposition of what your actions resulted in. The third thing that I always say is mirroring job descriptions. If the job description says that project management, stakeholder management, and data analysis is key, then I would put in examples of where you have carried that out within your experience. So project managed our final year project, which included 5 other students. Using Power BI, I was able to analyze 10,000 customers for a online retailer and able to convert 2% of those consumers to buy ready meals. This shows that you've been able to hit all of the key areas that they've been looking for. You've worked in a group, you've managed a team of 5, you've also utilized a hard skill like data manipulation to then convert into real world impacts. So this is where you can cleverly pull together your CV to enable it to be tailored to what you're looking for. I always say it's never about gaming the system, but making sure that you are best aligned and putting yourself in the best light to be able to secure the role. So in summary, applicant tracking systems are not this evil piece of software that's out to get you or reject you. It's a piece of software that's aligned to make sure that recruiters and hiring managers can manage and handle large volumes of candidates. The applicant tracking system rewards clarity and alignment. So the more clear you can write your CV and showcase it, and the more aligned it is to the job description, the higher you're likely to rank out of all of the other candidates, to ensure that recruiters and hiring managers even see your CV and are able to call you for interview. What I would emphasize is that your CV should showcase and communicate very clearly what it is that you can do and what problem set that you can resolve through your experience. So if you've already resolved a similar issue at another company, make sure that you put in the metrics around what it is that you were resolving and what the outcome of that resolution was, so that companies can see that you're a well-versed hand in being able to understand their problem and to also give them a similar outcome. If you found this video useful, please do like, comment and share with other like-minded individuals who will also benefit from these tips. And in return, I will promise to share even more tips around the job market at the moment and other hints that you can use along your journey in your job search. Don't forget to drop any questions in the comment sections below so that I am able to respond to you there or create new videos around pain points. And over the course of the next few weeks, I'm hoping to cover content around how AI is being used in job searches and how you can leverage that for your own benefit, looking at how best to stand out in an interview, how to do salary negotiation. So I'll be unpacking that in this series with you. So please do, as I say, subscribe and let me know other tips that you might want to hear about.